When you grab hold of responsibility, your life can begin to have real meaning. Responsibility, right? I'm sure you looked at your agenda and circled that one right away, right? Like, I want to go talk to Tomas about responsibility. That's what I want to talk about today. Now, this topic is very interesting, and if you could throw it on the confidence monitor, that'd be great. If that can be thrown on there, that'd be awesome. This happened for me for a reason. I think topics come to you in speeches for a reason. And this was a very interesting kind of how this all came to be for me. For those of you that have seen me speak, y'all know what I do. I own Luxury Home Magazine, and I'm honored to be here speaking to the agents of Coldwell Banker. And I hope you guys know how amazing your leadership is to put something like this on, right? Give them a round of applause because, you know, you've got an amazing leadership that wants to invest in you, and they want to make this possible. And so this is me, Tomas Martinez. I own Luxury Home Magazine, and my wife and I had an amazing idea we decided, hey, how about buy Pre-K Academy, Spanish Grove Academy. And we did that back in 2015, and we've really been learning this word responsibility. Like, when you have the lives of young people, you know, from the age of 18 months to 5 years old, that's a lot of responsibility. And so I want to talk to you about this word, but I want to kind of talk to you about how it came to be. So a few months back, I received a book. Raise your hand if you've been given a book. Anybody here been given a book, right? Now, here's the thing. He didn't give it to me. He said I could use it. And that's the worst thing you could tell to a reader, because I'm the nerd that takes notes. Anybody else out there like to take? Okay, we got a lot of nerds in here. I love it. All right. So I like to take notes, and I butcher books. Like, I've got highlights. I've got pages folded. I'm just into it, right? So about 2-3 weeks into this book, I call him up and I just said, listen, I just want to let you know I'm taking the book. I'm going to have to buy you another one. You know, and this is the book that he gave me. Has anybody heard of this book? Raise your hand if you've heard of it. Okay, this is awesome. So you know how many people raise your hand? Like 3. 3 people. This book has absolutely revolutionized kind of this nonfiction world right now, right? The people that raise your hand, you probably already know this book has sold 2 million copies. Do you know when it was released? 2018, 2 million copies sold, okay? So this book was really, really interesting, and it's interesting on a lot of levels, right? And so I get this book, and I start reading about lobsters. First chapter, right? Because what he does is he goes through the 12 rules for life. And here are your 12 rules. And the first chapter is stand up straight with your shoulders back. Now that's a good rule, isn't it? Right? And as I'm reading this chapter about lobsters, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, man, come on, get to the point. And he really starts laying it in, and I start learning, and I couldn't put the book down. So now I'm at a resort with my family, back right before the school is about to start. And I have the brilliant idea of taking my book because I want to read it. I mean, I've fallen in love with this book, and I post on Instagram. And a friend of mine sends back a message, hey, guess who's going to be in San Antonio at the Tobin Center in October? The author, Jordan Peterson. And I said, you know what? I heard about it, and I've been trying to get tickets. Now, I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine a nonfiction author selling out the Tobin Center. When is this? I don't know if this has happened in a while, right? I know a lot of authors have come to San Antonio, but I don't think a lot of authors have sold out. So fast forward, I get to the point where I tell him, I said, listen, here's the deal. Someone gave me the book. So I've got to buy both of us a ticket, and I'm trying to figure out how to get us both a ticket. So I'm going online, can't find any. He says, whoa. He goes, hold on. I have 2 tickets. Bring your buddy. Now, we go sit in the Tobin Center, and I have to tell you that this was one of those moments where you just kind of sit there and you're learning, right? You know, if you're hearing, he's a professor. For those of you who don't know, he's a clinical psychologist, and he's a professor in Toronto. And he gets up on stage, and he starts almost like a lecture format, but it's so awesome that you're like on the edge of your seat just listening to a lecture. And it's incredible. And the reason why you're here in this class, if you look at, everybody should have a note sheet. It looks just like this. It looks, not that one. All right. You should have a note sheet, right? Please make sure you have that, because it's going to be really important for the exercise that we're about to do. You'll see that note sheet there. And so what happens is Jordan Peterson says something that really caught my attention. He said this: responsibility is the pathway to meaning. And if you look on your notes, and if you need more, we probably have extras, and I've got more up here if you need some more handouts. They should have some extras. Write that in on your notes. Responsibility is the pathway to meaning. Now, here I am. It's good to see you. Here I am. I'm 43 years old. I'm sitting in this skybox. They had a little skybox that we had us in. And as soon as I heard it, that quote, it really resonated with me. Have you ever heard something that immediately resonates with you? And so today, this is what we're going to talk about. This is where this class began. It began from a quote from an author who said, responsibility is the pathway to meaning. And from that framework, we're going to work today. Does that sound good? Now, here's what I need. This is really important. The thing that I need is I really need you to give during this, because when you give, you're really going to get something out of it. If you're kind of hesitant and kind of like, I don't want to write anything down, you're not going to get anything out of it. All right? So everybody say, raise your right hand. Say, I promise. I promise to participate. Oh, I like that. You guys are ready. I like that. And then I want you to look at your neighbor for me. And just look at your neighbor and say, I hope you learned something. Tell them. Now look back at that same person and say, no, you need to learn something. So now, I want you to think about this. We're going to go way back, all right? Now, anybody like embarrassing photos? Is Mark Stilling in here? Oh, good. He's not in here. Good. Well, we can all laugh at Mark Stilling's expense in a minute. So here's what I want us to do. The word responsibility, take that word, mental picture of it, and now we're going to go in a time machine to when we're 12, 13, and 14. Kind of like this picture right here of me, right? This was a modeling shot, right? Really bad lighting, terrible, but I want you to use this to go way back. Now, just for help for some of you, if you need more help going back, we'll look at Mark Stilling here, right? If you look at this picture, he's got his back turned to us. He really didn't want to be seen in this picture. But I want you to think going back. Think about the word responsibility. Now, I don't want to leave out the ladies, because this is really important. I don't want to leave out the ladies in this. How many of you had a jean jacket? Don't lie. You know, look, I saw hands literally like this. You know you had the jean jacket. All right, here we go. So this is obviously, going back. Now, in terms of responsibility, what words come to mind when you were in your jean jacket? Go take out the trash. You better clean your room. You better be home before midnight. Oh, so y'all remember, right? Y'all remember. Don't drink any. Oh, wait. That was dangerous. All right, that was dangerous. So here's the deal. The reality with this is really simple. We could take all of that, right? We could think about young you. We could think about your young self, right? We could think about it in terms of your young self, right? What was responsibility? Was it high or low? It's very low. Can we all agree it was very low, right? Your responsibility level, you didn't have a lot of responsibility. You just had a really low hurdle to get over, right? And to the point where you kind of may have lived by this. Does anybody ever heard this term YOLO? Yeah? Any of your kids said this yet? Do y'all know what it means? You only live once, right? Immediate gratification. You only live once. Let's go. Let's party. By the end of today, I want us to look at that phrase and kind of shift it just a little bit for our new self. And we're going to shift it just a little bit. So now, on the next slide here, it talks about where we are today. So if you look on your paper, here's what I need you. This is where you got to give. Everybody promise, remember? So on your paper, here's what I need you to do. I need you to write down all of the responsibilities that you have right now. Now listen, hold on, don't start writing. I know some of y'all already ready. Listen, it's really important. Right? What's that? Oh, you need a bigger piece of paper. I love that. Well, you can go on the back if you run out of room, but I'm not going to give you a lot of time. All right. I need you to think work responsibilities, family responsibilities, your responsibilities for charity. I want you to get it all on one sheet. We can even turn up a little bit of music for those there, right, about in the back. But I'm only going to give you 1 minute, and it's going to feel like forever. So does everybody know what we're doing? We're writing our responsibilities today. On your mark, get set, 1 minute, go. Okay, time. Now, I want you to take a moment and just look at that list. Now, what if we wrote that list at 14? Would there be a big difference? Right? That list would be a whole lot shorter, wouldn't it? Right? Now, remember the quote? Who can tell me the quote? If you could just make that full screen again, because I can't advance. Remember the quote? What does it say? Responsibility is the pathway to meaning. You with me now? Now, I want you to look at your list, right? And did anybody get stressed out writing that? Yeah, some of you got stressed out a little bit, right? It's like, well, anybody have more than 10 things? Maybe 20? Anybody get to the end? All right. So here's the deal that's really helped me with this concept is that we have more responsibility today than we were when we were young, right? We can all agree with that. Now, here's the thing. You're either going to take that idea of responsibility, you're either going to grab a hold of it and make it your purpose and your meaning, or what are we going to do? We're going to push it to the side and say, you know what? I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that. Now, it's still not working. So now, for some of us, have you ever noticed that we all have family members? This is yourself today. You can go to the next one. And if you notice that some of us have family members that just kind of stick out. Anybody with me on that? Right? You got family members that just stick out a little bit, right? Now, you can go to the next slide. You have some family members who simply, nothing is their fault. Anybody with me on that? Right? Here's the thing. Why is that? It's because they refuse to take responsibility. Right? And it's a good one. It's a good one. And this idea of taking responsibility is critical because when you grab hold of responsibility, your life can begin to have real meaning. Real meaning. Now, thinking about that family member, right? Thinking about that family member, if you go to the next slide, I want you to think about Homer Simpson. And I know, how does Homer Simpson, well, he has a lot to say about this. You can go to the next slide. Homer Simpson, right? Oh, here's another great one right here. Now, Homer Simpson here, which I thought it was very profound. Do you know what Jordan Peterson's favorite show was? The Simpsons. Favorite show. This is like one of the smartest guys in the country, and he loves The Simpsons. Now, Homer walks into the living room, and he walks up, and if you could see, what does he have in his hand? He's got vodka and mayonnaise. And his wife is talking to him, and this is the key point, and I hope this is where this really kind of comes together, right? Is this idea. Homer pours the vodka into the mayonnaise, shakes it up, and he says, "That's a problem for future Homer." Takes the vodka and mayonnaise and then passes out. Now, some of you didn't catch the humor in that, so let me say it again. No. Listen to me. Did you hear what Homer said? He said, "That's a problem for future Homer." And for those of us in this room, have we had moments where we're like, "That's a problem for me to figure out another time. I'll get to that." And see, responsibility, when you grab hold of it, you're literally in that moment, you're sinking down. When you grab hold of it, you're making that make meaning in your life. And you're telling yourself, you know what? Future self is going to be proud of me in this decision right now. Future self is going to really love that I decided to put in the work today and not wait and kind of push off that responsibility. Next slide. And this is the interesting thing is there's you today and there's future you. And if you look down at the bottom, you can write that in on your paper. You'll see the little kid at the bottom. And I think this future you is so important. Future you is counting on you to grab hold of responsibility, step into your greatness, and do something powerful. Your family members who have decided, you know what? I'm not going to take responsibility. I'm not going to do what I need to do. What are they saying to future self? That's a problem for them to figure it out. Right? Next slide. Now, when you look at your list, I heard some of you say you felt a little stress. It's like, I got a lot to do today. Hurry up, Tomas. Right? I know some of you felt like that pressure and that burden, but I want you to look at your list now and let's reframe it. Are you ready? Let's reframe it. You see, because here's to deal with responsibility. And this is where, for some of you, I hope this is a landing spot as we move forward. When you think about that word, you see, it's not just future self that's counting on you. It's everybody you wrote on that list. Every single responsibility on that sheet of paper is going, I hope she thinks about future self. I sure hope he is thinking about future self. Because our interactions, they don't just affect us anymore. When you become an adult, what happens? It's all on you, right? Full responsibility. It's on you. You've got to step into that and allow that to make meaning in your life. And it's so powerful. Next slide. Now, what is your time worth? Flip over your paper. We're going to do this really quickly. You're going to need a calculator on your phone because this is critical to your success. Next slide. Here's what we're going to do. Get your calculator out. You ready? Now, this is personal, so you can kind of cover your sheet. If you need a little protector, put your elbow over it, right? This is really important for you to understand. Everybody write down, right in that first box, how many hours, right there in that very first box, how many hours do you work a week? I heard you laughing already. Write it down. How many hours do you work a week? Write it down. Next box. How many weeks do you work in a year? Write it down. Now, please, realtors, we got to again take responsibility. You're not working all 52 weeks. Let's be honest, right? We're going to take a little bit of time off, but if you do work 52 weeks, hey, that's awesome. Now get your total hours. Are we ready? Everybody with me? Some of you have done this with me, but it's important for this class. Next one, total gross income for last year. Again, cover your paper. Don't let your neighbor look at it. You can kind of ballpark it, write it down in there. Gross income. Now take your total hours that you worked, divide that, and guess what you just found out? How much you make per hour. I was doing this class in Kerrville, and I had a woman, she just howled in the back. Oh my goodness, I make $7 an hour. Now, here's the funny part. Math was not a strong suit for her, so math, she actually missed a zero, so it was really like $70 an hour. All right, after we went back, someone walked over there and said, hey, it's actually 70. But here's the deal. The reason why this is important is because time is your responsibility. And the value of your time, when you know your worth, when you know what it is that you're worth, guess what happens? Do you think about taking responsibility and doing what you need to do at the time you need to do it? If you know what you're worth, you have a tendency not to waste time when you know your value. Now, how many of you, raise your hand, want that to go up per hour? Raise your hand. Who wants it to go up? Oh, look at this. Everybody. I love that, right? Everybody wants that to go up. All right, so if you want that to go up, you've got to take responsibility. Let's keep moving. Next slide. If you want that to go up, we've got to take responsibility. And everybody's responsibility in life, next slide, this is your responsibility. You have to grow. Now, I heard that. That is funny. I'm not going to repeat it. That's funny. So I'm not talking about height-wise. I'm not talking about, getting bigger muscles, although that could be okay. But what I'm talking about in growth is your mind has to grow. And I want you to understand, did anybody see that slide, how many classes that Coldwell Banker is putting on? Right? Anybody remember the number? 486 classes. Now, it is your responsibility to grow. You have to take hold of it and make that has to be your reason. It has to give you purpose. Because when you grow mentally, guess what else happens? You start growing that wallet. When you read more, you earn more. When you learn more, you earn more. And for some of us, we get in this stage, and I'll just be the first one to admit it. I was a realtor. I still have my license, but I remember being an agent and going, oh man, I can't make that 8:30 class. I'll go to the next one. Oh, I can't make that 9 o'clock in the morning. Come on. I'm gonna go to the next one. I remember those days. And I was a teacher. Remember, I taught for 11 years. And we would have all kinds of different, classes and things we had to go to. But here's the thing, it's your responsibility. Now, why doesn't it happen? I'm going to go through traps, why it doesn't happen. Anybody ever read this book, 15 Laws of Growth? Well, listen, if you haven't read this book, I want to mastermind with you, and because this book it's a game changer. This will grow you mentally, spiritually, everything you can think of. This book is fantastic. And in it, John Maxwell talks about traps. Next slide, please. So here are some of the hidden traps that stop you from growing. Next slide. Number one, here's the first one that stops you from growing. There's the book. Keep going there. Number one is assuming you will automatically grow. All right, let's be real, right? Some of us come into real estate, we go through those first few classes, and then we just figure by osmosis, we're just going to grow. We're going to be a great agent. We're going to learn everything on the job. And the reality to that is your learning will be what? If you try to learn automatically, how is your learning going to be? It's going to be very slow. It will be slow. And for some of us, it will be almost not at all, right? Because if you're just kind of like, well, I'll just kind of figure it out. No. Listen, don't assume you will automatically grow. And I have this on the back of the page there. Next one. Number two, I don't know how to grow. This is another trap. People get into these ruts where they're like, I really don't know how this is going to work. I really don't know how to grow. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? But here's the thing. How many webinars, how many YouTube channels, how many classes are there? Listen, I have a cousin who learned how to sheetrock from YouTube. And you're worried that you can't do Facebook. Do you know how many videos there are on Facebook, on YouTube? Hundreds of them. So listen, not knowing how to grow in this day and age is not an excuse. Now, the learning by the school of hard knocks, right? Have you ever heard that? I learned by the school of hard knocks, right? Now, I don't mean that to sound negative, because are there situations where we do need to learn the hard way? Maybe when we're forging ahead and we're doing something no one else has ever done, you're going to learn by the school of hard knocks, right? But look around this room, everybody. You're all in the same game. There's knowledge at every one of these tables, right? Saying you don't know how to grow is a little crazy, because someone right next to you can help you. Someone on that Facebook can help you. Next slide. So I don't know, that's a trap. We got to forget that one. Number 3, you know what? It's not the right time. I'm in a season where I'm just going to wait. It's not the right time. I'm going to, it's the holidays. The market. Don't say it again. Do not say that again. Trust me, the market does not completely slow down in December. Everybody raise your right hand and say, I promise. I promise to never say that again. Because here's the deal. People are still buying houses. You just haven't met them yet. They're still out there buying. They're still out there getting houses. And do you know when the luxury market heats up? You start seeing big properties go down in January and December and February. Big properties. So, the right time to begin? No. Next one. Number 4, another trap. I'm afraid to make a mistake. This is a trap, everybody. Listen to me. You know the founder of your company. Do you think she was scared at points when she started what she did, Deanna Harper? Do you think she was scared? Do you think there were obstacles in her way? Do you think she made a few mistakes along the way? Listen, if you want to be successful, you're going to make mistakes. Period. End of story. Successful people make mistakes, and then what do? They learn. Now, your family member that doesn't want to take responsibility, he makes mistakes day in, day out, he or she, and then what do they want to do? Blame everybody. Because they refuse to let their life have meaning and purpose and actually take responsibility. And so for those of you in the room, because that's not us, right? For us in the room, you can't be afraid to make a mistake. Picking up the phone and calling that client, you're going to stumble. But the more you smile and dial, the more dollar bills show up in your wallet. The more you get out of your comfort zone, the better opportunities show up. Trust me. Trust me, trust me, trust me. The opportunities that I've been afforded when I had no idea what I was going to do or say or how it was going to work out, but I just jumped into it. Amazing things have happened. Next one. All right, number 5. I have to find the best way to start. You know, I need the right book. If I find the right book, then I can learn. Then I can grow, right? Do you know how many bad books I've read? Can we all agree? Like, we've gotten in a book and so here's the thing that I want you to think about. If you're reading a book and it's just not resonating with you, do you know what John Maxwell does? John Maxwell has a stack of books, a stack on his desk. John will read the first 20 to 30 pages, and if the author can keep him turning, he'll keep reading. But at any point that he kind of gets, puts it down, gets the next book. So the idea of finding the best way, don't let that be an excuse. Just dive in, take responsibility for your growth, and go for it. Next one, number 6. Here's a big one. You ready for this? I hear you laughing. Well, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like growing right now. I just want to coast. I just want to be here and not have to push forward. Now, can we all agree that there will be coasting in life? Can we all agree to that, right? When are you going to coast? Vacation, when Thanksgiving happens, those days in Thanksgiving, and your phone rings off the hook because somebody wants to see a house at 12 o'clock noon on Thanksgiving, right? But there are going to be those days when you can really go, you know what, I don't feel like it. But here's the idea. If those days outnumber the no, I'm going to do this, you're in trouble, right? If your I don't feel like it days outnumbered, let's go attack the world, you are in big trouble. You've got to forge ahead, take responsibility, and move forward. Because what does responsibility do for us? Gives us meaning. Now, when you look at that sheet, look at that sheet again on the other side, and you look at all the names and all the people and all the ideas, all of that gives your life meaning. Number 7, next one. Number 7, others are better than me. And boy, in real estate, is this ever an issue? What do we do in real estate? He did 8? How did he do 8? She did 7? What? Oh my gosh, what am I doing? We immediately start looking outward and we start comparing. Now, why do I know that? I'm a realtor and I've done it, right? It's like an AA meeting, right? I'm a realtor and I compare. I'm sorry, right? Here's the deal. Stop comparing. Just stop. Sometimes you need to get off Facebook, stop looking at your friend that just closed another one. And you're literally sitting there going, I don't know how she does it. I don't know how he does it, right? They may have just posted the same picture that you missed 2 weeks ago, right? But you're too busy comparing. So here's the deal. Everyone raise your right hand. Say, I promise. I promise to stop comparing. Now, I love what your company does, because one of the things, if I remember correctly, your company doesn't put volume on your stats, right? Like the numbers, here's where somebody, do they all do the numbers? I don't think so. It's just names, right? Am I right about that? Okay. I love that, because here's the deal. The number is not the issue, right? It's not the number. The number is not the issue. The issue is, what are you doing internally to make yourself better, to make that number higher? And are you willing to take responsibility, to dig in, to make the phone calls, to make the videos? You better be making your videos. You got Bomb now, right? Your responsibility is to go inward focus on how I can be. And this is what I told myself about 3 years ago. I started getting back in shape. And I literally would be about to wake up. And y'all, anybody snooze in here? I'm a snooze. I was snoozing like crazy, hitting that snooze button, just, leave me alone, right? But I got to a point in my life, right, where I literally said these words to myself. I want to be the best version of myself today. Eyeballs open, get up and let's move, right? And so stop looking outward and go inward. Last one, here we go. I thought it would be easier. This is another trap, right? It's just a snap, right? Like real estate, like this is easy, isn't it? I mean, you're just showing houses, right? How many of you have friends that when you go to networking or you go to family events and your friend's like, you're a realtor? I want to do that. It's like everyone, right? You walk up, you're talking with them, and they're just like, can I come work for you? It's so easy to be a realtor. Okay, and now we know the reality to that, right? What do we know? What do we know about real estate? This is not easy. The gentleman that was just sitting here, what did he say about our job, about as realtors, right? He said, listen, if you don't take this seriously and you don't take that fiduciary responsibility seriously, other companies are going to try to push you out. So we have the responsibility. This is not easy. And I think sometimes I can tell you from my own mindset is I started making it difficult. I started thinking that I had to make it more complicated than it really is. Let's get really honest. What is this business really about? People. 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 This business is about people. And I don't have my phone on me. The phone will only get you so far. If you don't put it down and have lunch with someone, have coffee with someone, face to face, eyeball to eyeball, shake their hand. This business is about people. And if you really want to know the top people in the business, why are they consistently at the top? You go ask them about relationships, and they're going to tell you, I have a personal relationship with all of my clients. It's about people. Next slide. I think that's pretty much it, but So we're going to stop right here. So you remember I showed you this earlier, right? So write this down, YOLO. And I've had a realization about this term recently. And here was the realization that I had. You know, when we were young, or maybe for some of you not so long ago, this was the idea of immediate gratification. YOLO meant, I only live once, so I'm going to party like a rock star, right? But I want to flip this for every one of us in this room, because when I flipped this, I actually did a Mindset Monday on this. And if you ever watch my YouTube or any of my videos, every Monday I do a Mindset Monday. And I did a Mindset Monday on this, and here's the deal. Listen to me, everybody. Listen. You only live once. That's it. There's no redos. There's no restarts. You can't hit the reset button and just start all over. And if you only live once, then responsibility needs to be your meaning. If you only live once, you need to grab hold of that idea and make the best of every single day. Be the best version of yourself. Because as I mentioned earlier, you remember old Homer Simpson? And Homer said, that's a problem for future Homer. Well, I say this to you, everybody in this room. You see, on that list, if you look at your list again, when you are not the best version of yourself, when you are not living like you only live once, you're affecting not just yourself, but your family and generations to come. So take that advice. Hey, we need to brand YOLO. I only live once, but I don't live once for immediate gratification. I'll only live once, so I'm going to make the most of every single day, every single opportunity, every single listing appointment, every single phone call, every single video. I'm going to make the most of every single opportunity. YOLO. Thank you.